Yo, I'm back from the future, and it's looking bright, especially for DeFi. Come here for a second, Johnny. Yeah, I'm listening. No way. Believe me when I tell you this. Wear your glasses like this and your hat like this. You'll thank me later. Future of DeFi. It's looking bright, but where are we at now? Where are we looking to be? Well, in today's video, guys, I want to show you a couple of trends you guys need to look for, as well as a little history about DeFi. Let's go ahead and see what it has in store for us. DeFi 1.0. This had to do with decentralized banking, things like borrowing and lending, trading. The best way to think about these guys would be like your Aave, your Compound, your Maker. I got some Ethereum, I got some Bitcoin, I deposit it into Aave, and I can borrow some stable coins. Or with Maker, I got some Ethereum, I don't want to sell my ETH, and use it as collateral to get a loan and use that for what I need. I could be buying a house in real life. I could be using it as leverage in order to buy some more Ethereum or some wrapped Bitcoin or some other crypto assets that I want. Just think of it like getting a loan. DeFi 2.0 had to do with yield farming and food farms. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but there was a classic farm called PancakeSwap. And PancakeSwap, I remember when it first launched, this was over on the Binance Smart Chain. This thing was paying out thousands of percent APR. All you do is you stake your cake to earn cake, and then you stake that new cake that you earn to earn more cake. That was the name of the game. And most people played along for the most part, and the farm lasted for an extremely long time. In fact, it's still a DeFi primitive today for the Binance Smart Chain. However, a lot of protocols saw the success of this, and they're like, let me go ahead and try this myself and add my own farming token on top of this and see if I can grab a bunch of liquidity. And what happened is other protocols launched. They forked PancakeSwap, they forked SushiSwap. In fact, PancakeSwap was just a fork of SushiSwap. And people were enticed by these high APRs, and they would go out and buy the farming token, which in this case, Pancake and their cake token, or if it's another farm, let's say hot dog farm, they would go buy the hot dog token. Now, when you buy this hot dog token, this causes the price to go up. Buy pressure, green button, causes price to go up. Red button, sell, causes price to go down. So when the APRs are denominated in that farm token, the interest rates increase as more people buy. And they also decrease as people sell. So if you have a flood of new users trying to get into these farms by buying the token, this juices the APRs, which incentivizes other users to deposit. But this is not sustainable. It's a race to who can dump on one another the fastest. Why is that? Well, if I'm buying hot dog token, you're buying hot dog token, and we deposit it into the vaults and we're like, yes, we all get free hot dog tokens. How do you profit? You press red button. When you press red button, you sell, price goes down, APRs go down. People in the farms, because they were getting 10,000% APY and it goes to 500% APY, they now pull out, which causes it to go down even more. And you have this reflexive flywheel that says, nah brah, we're going down, farm's over. And this is typically how the farms would work. Now, farms also got a little more sophisticated and started adding factors to prolong the Ponzi. They would add deposit fees, they would do taxes, they would do layer 2 and layer 3 farms, etc. If you don't remember what this is, just look at Goose Finance, play around with a couple of these yield farms with some coffee money, and you will start to understand. If you don't know where the yield is coming from, unfortunately, you are the yield. Now, after people started catching on to the game of DeFi 2.0, farmers would hop farm to farm, taking the money from the protocol until there is no money left. The only winners were the early farmers, the guys who take money from new investors as they ape in, and the protocol itself. The protocol makes money because a portion of the emissions would go to the team. And the team, can dump. And this is where you have these serial devs where they would create more and more of these food farms and different Ponzi's and launch them up like every other day, every other week, and they would siphon more money from retail. So you were either the guy who got super early into the farm and got money from other users who deposited later, or you were a dev and you created these Ponzi's and you were considered the house of the casino, and you always won because you got a percentage of the fees. So in summary, DeFi 2.0 helped the space realize something different needed to happen. New models needed to be created and sustainable yield must be had. Now step in DeFi 3.0. These were common protocols like Ohm, Wonderland Time, Curve, Convex, Solidly, Popsicle Finance. These are just a couple of different protocols. The TLDR on Olympus DAO and Wonderland was I hold, you hold, we all win. The classic 3-3, or those classic emojis where you have the quotes and then you have whatever it is and whatever it is. It could be banana banana for banana DAO. But the idea of the concept was protocol owned liquidity, where we saw in DeFi 2.0 these different farms, in order to get liquidity for their tokens, they would pay users. So they're technically renting liquidity. However, with protocol owned liquidity, they are buying their liquidity by forcing users to pair some, let's say for example Ohm, it would be the Ohm token and some ETH or USDC or Frax and deposit into the vault. And in exchange, they would get some Ohm tokens as well as a additional fee for doing so. And this was called bonding. And of course, if a bunch of users were bonding, the additional fees that you would earn would be much lower. But what this did over time is it built up the treasury for the protocol itself. Now you even had other models that evolved called the VE model. This is like Curve and Convex. Curve is basically a stable swap protocol, allowing you to swap pairs that are not as volatile or not really volatile at all. Whereas Uniswap just took on all volatility and listed any coin and was just like, let's do this. Curve was more so like your blue chips like Bitcoin, ETH, or USDC, USDT, like stable swap pairs and assets that don't really have a lot of volatility compared to each other. And Curve was having the problem of DeFi 2.0, which was constant emissions. So more and more tokens were being emitted from the Curve protocol. And when you do this, the Curve token obviously goes down in price because farmers are now dumping it. With the VE model, this now created a value capture mechanism, or at least a sophisticated Ponzi, where it was like, hey, if you want more emissions to your token or to your liquidity pair, you must take the Curve token, stake it, lock it, and vote for your pool. What this does is it kicks the can down the road to where these Curve tokens are now needing to be locked up and stored into the protocol to vote on incentives for your pool. Protocols now have to get a hold of this Curve token and have more buy pressure for it in order to get liquidity incentives. And this is where Convex arose. They saw this issue and they were like, wow, what if we created a liquid staking derivative for the Curve token and allow the Convex holder to be able to concentrate their votes to different pools. And we can also incentivize the users so we can build up our liquidity by paying higher incentives. And this worked out. And you can see Convex is doing extremely well, and it also offers bribes. Protocols are incentivized to participate with bribes because it's a cheap way of getting liquidity. For some protocols, bribes would actually bring down the cost of liquidity 60 to 70%. So instead of paying $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month to maintain a certain amount of liquidity, it would cost them 60 to 70% less using bribes. And on top of that, they don't have the massive dumper on their token. Of course, the protocol that's being bribed, the users may choose to dump it, but there is a chance that they hold. So these were all interesting concepts, and they still are, but these systems are run by game theory. This has to do with the VE model, protocol on liquidity, bribes, sustainable yield. So in summary of DeFi 3.0, did it work out? Well, not so much. Peeps wanted to cash out and take profits. So much for the 3.3. I'm not saying all of these will fail, and some of these are still in use today. Bribes, protocol on liquidity, concentrated liquidity, these are all still used today. But a lot of them were overhyped, and for the most part, do we really need a token? Think time or Ohm. Do they really need a time token? Like, what's it used for? It's just a decentralized treasury. However, a protocol like Curve or Aave, protocol-owned liquidity is valuable to the protocol itself. This creates deeper liquidity for the token, and you're not having to constantly rent liquidity. And as for concentrated liquidity, do you really need the Uni token for this? Well, not so much. Concentrated liquidity, however, is extremely important for protocols that are tight on funds. With concentrated liquidity, you can reduce slippage by a crazy amount. So let's say, for example, you only have $10,000 to bootstrap liquidity. Well, the normal 50-50 method and having the liquidity dispersed across 0 to infinity, your slippage could be, I don't know, 0.1 to 0.2%. However, with concentrated liquidity, instead of saying 0 to infinity, you say, look, I think my token's going to be $100 to $200. Well, all that $10,000 is placed within that range. And when you do something like that, instead of having 0.1 to 0.2% slippage, you can now have 0.001% slippage. The great concepts were born, but it was a right shoe for the left foot. I think that's the saying. But it's okay. I covered it with the Samurai Jack sandals to where you can just put them on both feet. Systems and ideas were deployed, but were not necessary. And just like in the food farming days, farmers were able to gain these as well. Let's enter DeFi 4.0. This is the road to sustainable yields. So yields are a zero-sum game, but there is another form of value that is evolving out of this. This could be in the form of options, also known as premiums paid by investors. This could be the traders or investors' insurance, using the token as discounted interest rates. So think of the Go stablecoin for Aave when it deploys. The proposal has already passed. So what this would mean is if you're holding Aave tokens, instead of paying 2 or 3%, your interest rate may be 0.5% or 0%. Protocols can also use the governance tokens as revenue capture mechanisms. Like I mentioned to you with Aave and the Go stablecoin, Aave can also make a proposal that says, hey, all of the interest rates paid for our stablecoin, which there are a lot of users of Aave. In fact, they have over $10 billion in TVL at the time of recording. The users that aren't holding the Aave token but are using the Go stablecoin, all of those interest rates could be funneled and distributed to the Aave token holders. So this would just be another revenue capture mechanism. Of course, DeFi 3.0 and 2.0 had similar mechanisms, but I still think this can carry on to DeFi 4.0 as well, a sustainable yield. The best way to think about a sustainable yield is, would you use the product or service if you had to pay to use it? Not get paid to use it, had to pay to use it. Bribes can also be attributed to this because protocols are getting the benefit of deeper liquidity for a lower cost and having less dumper on their token. Okay, let me go ahead and expand on the comment I made about options as the trader's insurance as a sustainable yield. Here are some benefits of options. 1, you can hedge your position. 2, it has lower upfront costs. 3, it caps your downside. 4, again, it can be used as insurance. And 5, it's capital efficient. People would be willing to pay for this type of service, and they do it all the time. So here are some different options. You have the call option. This is the right, but not the obligation to buy an asset. The put is the right, but not obligation to sell an asset at a certain price on a certain date. And then you have the premium. This is the cost of the option contract. So if this is a put or a call, this is the cost you're going to pay. This would be considered the fee that you're willing to pay for this option or this service, whatever you want to call it. As you can see here, buying a call at $1,800 ETH is $175. This is at an expiration of September 2nd. What this call means is, hey, I'm bullish on Ethereum. ETH is trading at $1,500. I got I think it's 50-50 going to be at 1,800 or above. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see what happens, but I'm not willing to buy one Ethereum. Well, worst case scenario, if ETH doesn't hit my call option or go above it, I lose $175. Whereas if I bought one Ethereum, my downside is, well, the full entire amount I invest. So if ETH goes to 0, I lose everything. If I just have the $175 call option and ETH goes to 0, I lose $175. And that's the premium you're paying for, not having to shell out all that upfront cost. And as you can see here, I still get to participate in the upside, minus the fees, of course. So my max profit is infinite. My break-even point is going to be $19.75. You get this by the cost of the premium plus the call option. So the call option is $1,800 plus the $175. I know that's a lot of information, But the TLDR is that the fee is sustainable because traders and investors are not required and don't have to shell out as much money up front. And they can use this as a hedge. Whereas normally if you wanted to hedge, you would have to shell out $3,000 if you wanted to take a hedge position at 1500 ETH. How would you hedge this? Well, you buy ETH, 1500, and then you put collateral up on Aave or a decentralized lending protocol and borrow ETH and short it. At those two scenarios, you have to shell out a large amount of cash to exercise that. Or you can just do options and buy a call option for 175, and you can get your put option for $38 at 1500 ETH, or you can do the 1800 at 152. That's up to you how you want to do it, but I'm just explaining to you this is what people are willing to pay for. So the conclusion of DeFi 4.0. Sustainable yields are key to going forward. How do you spot sustainable yields? Well, would you pay to use it? If your answer is no, well then it's not a sustainable yield. Well, hang on, let me add an asterisk to that. Just because you wouldn't pay to use it doesn't mean someone else wouldn't pay to use it. So you have to think in your mind, would someone, not you, would someone pay to use this? Like me personally, I wouldn't go and buy a Gucci bag or a Louis Vuitton. I'm just like, dude, this stuff works. I have a suitcase. The suitcase works. I'm fine with that. However, there are people that need that, they want that, and that's how it rolls. Also, there will be more interesting experiments in DeFi that will either pass or fail. So it's always important to diversify no matter how much conviction you have. Remember the Luna stablecoin, the decentralized algo stablecoin that was to rule them all? I was bullish on Luna. And if I threw all my money at it and had 100% conviction at it, I would be completely wrecked. Diversification, and of course, he was looking out. There will also be more sophisticated Ponzi's or the new sliced bread that will always be around the corner. Don't be afraid to take profits, especially in peak euphoria. Remember, ice, baby. Yeah, that coin was like $60. It's now around 50 cents. Something to keep in mind, peak euphoria. It was an interesting concept, and optimized concentrated liquidity is definitely an important thing, and it's much needed. However, it was overhyped. Also understand that most protocols are just better off without a token. Most people throw a token at it in order for the team to, well, get paid. Lastly, if you can't determine where the yield is coming from, unfortunately, you are the yield. Let's hit you guys with a wisdom one-liner. This slide got a little cut off, but Proverbs chapter 12, verses 17. An honest witness tells the truth, but a false witness tells lies. Well, ain't that the truth? Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification. That way you guys are notified every time I made a new one. However, if you didn't enjoy this video, unsub, dislike, and go with the trend, which is your friend. Every time I post a video, it's down only. And if you want more content like this, you can check out the Digi Squad Discord. In some of the following videos, I'm going to do some strategy guides because, well, we need some for DeFi. If you want to check out some more content, we'll see you guys in the next video.